With the 2023 AFL season excitingly approaching, with it only now being 1 week away from starting, I thought I'd hop on Instagram and ask you guys some of your big calls for me to go over them in this video. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to go through them all. I'll be going through the pick of the bunch. I got quite a few that were just too generic, weren't outlandish enough. Not only that, we got responses that were just way too obvious and almost a lock. We got responses that were not even a slight chance of happening. But then we got some that were so obvious and so bad that they just completely missed the mark of the question, and it hurt my head to read. We'll kick things off with a common opinion that we got over 8 people all agreeing on, and that is for the Crows to make the finals. We got some saying that they'll go as far as even making a home final. And for Texman's example here, he goes to suggest the Crows will make finals and will play semi-final against Richmond. I mean, I don't know why he's being so specific. Everyone's all bullish on the Crows. I think for this year, they're probably not ready yet. One that I think is certainly a chance of happening is Errol Golden, and I had a lot of people all feeling the same way of Errol Golden. For him to finish top 10 in the Brownlow, I certainly reckon this is a very good shout. If he just keeps playing the way that he did against the Blues in that practice match, not only will he be a lock for a top 10 in the Brownlow, he'll be winning the whole damn thing. 30 games with team score over 100 points. As awesome as this would be for the sake of the game and the increase in scoring and all of that stuff, it's almost impossible of happening. I really don't know when the last time something like this happened, but we'd have to go back into the archives before the 2000s. For this to happen, there need to be an average of over 1 game around where both teams score over 100 points, and it just won't happen in this day and age. Hagen and Norton combined for 75 plus goals. I don't mind this one at all. Obviously the #1 draft pick. I think this is the year now, after a few years, that he takes his game up to the next level. And with the likes of Josh Bruce now playing a defensive role, you've got more the chance for Hagen to get more game time and more opportunities up forward. I think he's certainly a chance to kick over 30, 35 goals. And then you only need like Norton to kick 35, 40. If they're both fit and firing, I think the Dogs for sure can get those two players kicking over 75 goals. I might have been a little bit harsh on my prediction having the Dogs 13th, and if we're going to be going on the same trajectory with the Dogs, a few people really do believe the Dogs can make the top 4 here as their big call. And comparing the list from 2021 to now, it's not really that much different, to be honest, and I think it's certainly capable if they play their best footy. Lockie Miller, a massive Cats fan, believes the Cats could start the season off 0-2. Jeez, this is a bit of an interesting one, to be honest, especially coming from a Cats fan. You'd think that Cats fans would be up and about and believe that they can start the season off just the way they ended it with their streak. And it's a possibility. They don't have an easy start. They play the Pies at the MCG, then they play the Blues. 2 sides that could make the top 4. A couple people have gone with North Melbourne to start off the season 3-0, a season of hell. Now let's quickly have a look at the first 3 games North have in 2023. They start off with the Eagles. I think they can win that. Then they have the Dockers away, which I just don't see happening. If they can, for whatever reason, cause a massive upset, then the next week after, they've got the Hawks. And if they beat the Dockers, I think they'll go and beat the Hawks, and I think they can certainly actually get this done. Don't think it's going to happen, but could you imagine North Melbourne start 3-0 and Geelong start 0-2? Go Time AFL reckons the Cats could win all games at GMHBA Stadium, and I can honestly see this one happening, to be honest. The Cats, they're a force to be reckoned with. They're going to be another great side this season, and at GMHBA especially, they are almost impossible to beat. Last year, Go Time went with the same big call and only got it wrong by the one game when they lost against the Dockers by under a goal. Another team that could win all games at home, Jack McCarthy's gone the Lions, and I like this one. I actually do reckon this is more likely of happening against the Cats, even though the Lions are going to be playing a few more games at the Gabba. Man, they look good in those preseason games. It's just something about the Lions at the Gabba that they just are unstoppable at. And last year, apart from a couple of games, they managed to get this done. So yeah, certainly I think this is a possibility. 4 new teams make the top 4 at the end of the home and away season. Jeez, this is a massive call if this were to happen. I'd give you massive, massive props for that. But that would require teams such as the Cats, the D's, Pies, and the Swans all to fall out, and would have to make way for sides such as the Blues, the Tigers, the Lions, and maybe the Dockers, which could happen. Imagine the Blues, the Tigers, the Lions, and Dockers make the 4. 8 games to be won after the sign. Imagine this was actually the case Luke McMahon's gone with. It would just make the AFL so much more exciting if a season like that occurred, because games that are decided after a sign, they're the games you want to be watching the AFL. But I don't think 8 games is ever going to happen. I think 8 games is way too much of a stretch. I think the highest that I can remember would maybe be 3 or 4. 5 games to have attendances of over 90k in the home and away season. I actually really like this one. Don't know about it actually happening or eventuating, but I really do want this one to happen, and it could happen with a few marquee matchups. You got Geelong v Collingwood round 1. You never know. Richmond Carlton could also possibly attract that much. And then, of course, you got the fixtures such as Anzac Day, Carlton Collingwood. That'll be happening twice. Of course, after COVID now, if the league can slowly increase crowd numbers as an average, then possibly could happen, and I'd like it to happen because it'd be great for the game if it did. We had a few people that were nice enough to chuck the Saints in the 8 as part of their big cause, with some going out and making the claim that we make the 4, and some going as far of us as winning the flag. I don't know what drugs these guys are smoking. But speaking of people smoking too many drugs, as much as that's obviously not going to happen, the Saints aren't bloody winning the wooden spoon. Why do so many people share the same opinion of St Kilda sliding as far as winning the spoon? I'm going as far as to say that if the Saints finish bottom 4 this year, I'm burning my 2023 membership. Now, just like in last year's video, we had a number of people go through some surprise All-Australian big call selections which could possibly happen. So I'll read through all the players' names, and at the end of it, we'll go and have a look to see which ones are more likely of happening over the others. We've got Jack Silvani finishing with an All-Australian. Bobby Hill, I don't mind that one. Jake Saligo, Tanner Bruin, Sam Berry, Tim Taranto, Errol Goulden, and we finish off nice with the Saints player and Rowan Marshall. So let me know down below, of those 8 plays, which one do you reckon could be most likely of occurring? I don't mind the Bobby Hill one. I actually am really bullish on Bobby Hill. He could certainly have a breakout year like Stengel did when moving clubs. I like the Sam Berry call. He had a great year last year alongside Rory Laird. He could possibly sneak his way into the lineup. Now, if we're talking about big calls, one that is certainly a big call is for Peter Wright to win the Coleman. But to win the Coleman medal, you're coming up against the likes of, Mackay, Curnow, Cameron, Hawkins, Lynch. But it's just not going to happen. Peter Wright isn't in the same caliber of players as those players that I've just mentioned. And for him to win the Coleman, I just don't see it happening. Another thing that I don't see happening, well, at least I'm praying not to happen, for Gather Round to flop in round 5. Of course, Gather Round, all games playing in Adelaide. And if it does flop, that would be tragic for the game and tragic for content for myself. Xavier Brownie is predicting something similar. He's going for flash flooding to happen in Gather Round. I'll tell you what, some of these big calls are so random that I just don't get how some of these people have come up with them. Like flash flooding, why? Ben King and Mabai Chol to be the highest scoring duo of any side in 2023. I actually like this one. I think Rolls Macca in his big calls video said something similar. And the Suns, I think they're on the way up. And I think Ben King coming back from injury, he's capable of being a player that can win a Coleman one day. And Chol had an awesome year last year. I like both those players. They can link up well. Could they combine for more than 80, 90 goals in a season? If they do, they could be the highest scoring pair. Teddy Taylors has gone for the Giants to not finish in the bottom 6. And you would think with a list that they have capable that this shouldn't be a big call. With everyone's expectations and all the experts having the Giants to bottom out and finish in the bottom 4 as a lock, this is certainly a big call. But after the game against the Suns, maybe they can get their magnets going right and have a season where they just, shock a few and possibly finish outside of the bottom 6. Let's go over the next one now. We've got 2 or more players to die. I think we need to skip that one. Pies to finish bottom 4 and lose 7 games under 10 points. Oh, that would actually make me laugh. I'm not even going to lie. Riley Burke, non-midfielder wins the Brownlow. Jesus Christ. I mean, the Brownlow we all know is a midfielder's award because they're the only players that get all the votes. And I'm trying to remember the last time a non-midfield did win the Brownlow. It might have been Adam Goods back in 2006. And if you don't include him, it would have had to have been Tony Lockett, who got the bloody Brownlow medal playing up full forward, which is just unbelievable. And obviously, I can't see this one happening. I would never call it. But if this were to happen, the only few players that could maybe have a chance, I'd have to go like a Shai Bolton or maybe a Jeremy Cameron. Javen Dino, an AFL game is heading to the USA. I would actually really like to see this happen. If this was to happen this year and to be announced that the Saints are going to be playing a game of footy in LA in 2025, I'll be booking my tickets to America and making my way down there. How cool of a match day vlog would that be? Now I'll go through a couple more here for this video. We've got North Melbourne and West Coast not to finish bottom 6. I like the optimism, but again, they're probably both going to be a lock to finish bottom 6, to be honest with you. And then nice one to finish off with from Cooper Gresh. Mateus Philippou wins the Rising Star. I know everyone's saying bloody Ashcroft, Harry Sheasel. No one's really talking about Mateus Philippou, and I just think you guys are going to watch out for him this season. I know he's a Sainer, might have a little bit bias on me, but he's going to be an absolute star, and he's already looking like one of the emerging youngsters of the competition. So as we have taken a look at what some of you guys have had to say, I'll be going through a few of my own big calls that I've just made up on the spot that I think might possibly occur in 2023. The first one I've got is for the Bulldogs to win only 1 of their first 6 games. They have a really difficult fixture, and it's certainly a chance. The next one I've got is for Max King to kick 35 plus goals this season. Of course, we all know he's injured for the first chunk of the season, but I reckon when he comes back, he's going to have a really good finish to the year, and he'll kick a good amount of goals, in my opinion. The next one I have is for Melbourne to be significantly hit with injuries to derail their season for them to be forced to miss out on the 8. Then I've got the Brownlow medal count in 2023 will be awarded and won with a 3-way tie. Honestly, with this one, it's more just wishful thinking. We haven't had a 3-way tie in quite a while, and it'll just make for a more exciting and much more memorable Brownlow count. And the last big call that I've got for the video is for there to be 6 or more 100-point defeats throughout the season. Just like I did last year at the end of the year, I'll be going through and reviewing all of these big calls at the end of this season to see how many of them I got right and to see how many of them you guys also got right. If you guys want to be a part of videos like this in the future, follow my Instagram. It's right up there on the screen, Cardman22, and I'll be posting some of these stories throughout the season that I might be turning into videos.